Right.
Yeah, so
I have notes.
you have notes.
Yeah. So
Did you actually have them written down, or
I was talking to them with someone, and then like it just ended up turning into like a list of issues, or like we had like a discussion about it, and so like we just had issues, or like I have one major issue.
yeah? Well,
So
but before we go into the issues, well, overall, what would you say?
I loved it.
Yeah, like that's how I feel overall. I'm like, I really enjoyed it. But
there's
a bunch of issues within it that don't necessarily take away from me enjoying it, but at the same time, they're not.
I have one major issue,
Go for it.
and then everything else is like nitpicky and like minor things. The one major issue I had is the Palpatine stuff at the end, or like the
lightning.
No,
the multi-Sith thing.
No, the her calling herself a Skywalker at the end.
You had a problem with
So here's my thing. The whole movie, the whole film built up to, and this whole trilogy really built up to this thing of like being who you are and loving who you are and like accepting who you are and sort of like accepting who you are and still being okay with it and like making your own destiny and like
like this would be because I noticed a lot of people, as a kind of a side note, I noticed a lot of people being like, they retconned The Last Jedi, and it's like no. They built upon the point of the mirror scene in Last Jedi, which was you are who you decide to be. You're not bound by who your parents
also
were.
I think.
And that applies also, like, if your parents are important, that doesn't matter. You can still choose who you are. If they're not important, it doesn't matter. You can still choose who you are.
Definitely. And, like, I think it's this film, to get on a side note, this film has maybe one or two FU to The Last Jedi moments. But, like, the moment that I see people bring up all the time is the, like, Luke saying I was wrong. And I was like, no, dude, that's him learning from The Last Jedi. That's him accepting that he was wrong.
Because I of course did a rewatch of everything prior to it. And I watched Last Jedi. So opening night Thursday, I watched Last Jedi on Wednesday. So it was pretty fresh in my mind.
Right.
I'm surprised how many people haven't noted how much Luke hates himself in The Last Jedi. It's like every time people are like, Luke wouldn't be like that. I'm like, you know who agrees with you? Luke. Yeah. Luke flat out agrees with everyone who has a problem with how Luke is acting in that movie. He hates how everything turned out. He blames himself, so he secludes himself. And you know what? He hates himself for doing it.
Right.
So,
to get back in the original point, the whole film and the trilogy built up to this culmination of like Rey gets to choose her destiny and sort of be who she was meant to be, but then at the end she just decides to throw away her legacy of her name and then just change her name. Yeah, just change. And like, so my thing is, if she says Rey Palpatine, right, or whatever. If she says that, she fully accepts who she is. She understands who she is, but she says, no, I'm going to redeem this name and I'm going to make it something else. I'm going to turn it into what I want it to be. I'm going to give this a name, a new meaning and a new destiny and a new journey and course correct to what I want it to be. Yeah. But then no, she literally buries the legacy of the Skywalkers. And then is like I'm a Skywalker.
I actually don't agree in the sense that I felt like when she did it, it was because she realized that since she could choose who she was and that like you choose who you're going to be. Right. And she's like, you know what? Like, I'm a part of their legacy. I'm not a part of my grandfather's legacy, even though we're related. So I think it was more of she still continued to choose, and she decided to choose and embrace the side of herself that had been nurtured by the Skywalkers.
Sure, but I think
I think it was more of for her agnowledging this is who I want to be, is I want to be like them rather than a total.
But Leia literally has a line that is like, don't be afraid of who you are. Yeah. And so her changing her name is literally her being afraid or not being like, nah, that's not me, fam. Yeah. And I don't agree with it, but I see your point. Yeah. Like, there's no wrong answer here, but for me, it was a thing of, that's like, I would have loved her to be like Rey Palpatine. And like, this is like, okay, and then walk off to the sunset of like, I am this person who's who I am, and like, here's our new story. Let's go.
Yeah. But I wonder also how much of it is the fact that because of this, we can now have a continued Skywalker legacy that is inherited and passed on through the Force rather than passed on through genetics.
Sure.
I honestly think that this is some form of seed building for the idea that they can have Skywalkers return in the future,
right,
and they don't necessarily have to be tied into Anakin.
Right. Did you have any major issues, or are they all kind of nitpicky things?
I feel like a lot of it is just... I do actually have one major issue, and I think this is the overall issue with this trilogy in particular, and this film really, and that is they were so afraid of exposition that they didn't do a great job of explaining, like, Palpatine. Like, they're just like, he's back, everybody, and it's like, you know what? Yeah.
You kind of just have to run with it.
You kind of just have to run with it. But it's almost like, I get why a lot of people are like, oh, they just threw in Palpatine to make everyone happy. And it's like, no, guys, I walked out of this film and I wanted to shout to the rooftops, guys, you know how I've been saying that Disney didn't have a plan? They had a goddamn plan, and this movie is just proof of it. Because we know that they have been laying the groundwork for Palpatine to come back since 2015. And if you go into like in the Darth Vader comic run, you have Dr. Silo, who basically gets killed and comes back because of cloning technology. So that has been established in a 2015.
They do throw they do throw the line in there of like, they ask like, oh, how can they bring it back or whatever, and then Pippin fucking comes up.
Hey. It's Mary. Thank you very much.
Oh, is it Mary?
It's Mary.
So, fucking Mary.
Mary Haddock Brandy Buck just goes.
So he says something like cloning, genetics, secrets only the Sith knew, like who knows what it is, but whatever, he's back.
Yeah. But like they've established that can happen. Right. They also have established.
I didn't have a problem with them just kind of running past it because there's a certain amount of just like, they took the Marvel approach of like, fuck it, don't ask questions, just go.
Yeah, just go.
Come on.
Well, my reason why I took issue with it was I felt like all they really needed was like just have the single line of exposition explaining the fact that the New Republic knew that a bunch of Imperial Star Destroyers were just unaccounted for, and they couldn't figure out, were these ones that we've beaten in battle and we just didn't realize it? Are these ones that have disappeared? Are they in the hands of Imperial warlords? Like, what is happening? Because the amount of the ships that they fought and destroyed and could take account of did not match the amount of ships that they knew the Imperial fleet had. By the way, that is the Sith fleet. That is literally... oh, that's where all those ships went. Right. He took them and hid them. Palpatine had a plan that had been playing out since right after the end of Return of the Jedi. For the love of God, just someone could have been like, yeah, back when I was in New Republic Intelligence, we were still trying to figure out where those ships were. Yeah, there's no great place to put it, but... I mean, I don't care. Like this entire galaxy had so much shit going on that would have been explained wonderfully in the books, and they just never touched it.
I mean, they just don't have time, right? Like they just don't have time, and like it's whatever. Like I think a lot of people assume that he just like made all these ships over the course of like 30 years, and of course, to think that Palpatine's pulling all of these strings along, like as coincidental as they may be, is a little like far-fetched, but you need to just kind of run with it, right? Like you need to, as soon as you start pulling any of these, and if you take any Star Wars film and pull it apart piece by piece,
you're like, gonna start being like, what the hell's going on? So because the general concept that we know, and like the prequel fans especially know, is this idea that Palpatine's fingers are in everything, and they just went, guys, this past 30 years, why would it be any different if he was still alive in some capacity? And so, like, for you and me, I'm like, oh yeah, of course it was Palpatine doing Snoke. It's the only thing that makes sense for that character.
Right. But I have a list of small gripes too. But like, is that your major issue? That's my
kind of major issue. Also, I have a second major issue, which is more of a. I think Star Wars is at its best when it doesn't, where everything around it kind of feels real. It's like the idea that the reason why Star Wars felt real to everyone when it first came out in the 70s was the Millennium Falcon didn't look shiny and new like everything else in science fiction. It looked used and old. And I think that idea should have also applied to just everything around it. And I felt like, especially at the very end, some of the stuff going on in the temple on Exegol was a little too overly CGI, and rather I would have liked it a little toned down. But I also at the same time knew, I'm like, I bet I say this and Chris is gonna be like, I liked it.
I liked it because the thing is, it reminded me of Rebels, where Rebels looks like that.
Rebels looks like that. There was definitely a Rebel influence. The temple wasn't my issue. It was like a lot of just what was happening specifically in around them, not necessarily what was happening between Palpatine and Rey, but all of the stuff around them with like, but overly CG. But
I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was solid. Okay, so I have small issues.
Let's go. Let's start digging through.
The small issues. I thought the kiss was forced and unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm like, I was watching and I was like, don't kiss. Don't. You've already got Reylo, guys. You guys won. we will admit it. In that moment, without the kiss, Reylo won. And
so like.
But again, they didn't need a kiss. They just needed that moment.
I would love them to like either put their heads together or hug, and then for him to do that weird smile and then die.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
I was like, because I remember sitting in the theater, I'm like, oh God, don't kiss. Because it was one of those things where it's not that I took issue with Reylo.
Yeah.
At all. It
just felt like...
I'm like, if they kiss, it doesn't feel like an organic kiss.
Yeah.
They're kissing because people are thinking that there are some people out there who want them to.
Yeah.
Which, again...
That's fine.
Great.
Whatever.
But in the way that scene was playing out, it wasn't like, this is the time you kiss moment. But, so yeah, I agreed. I was like, I didn't want them to kiss, but I would have loved some form of like physical affection that wasn't a kiss.
Right. What else? I understand, like, I actually think they did a pretty admirable job of it, but the use of Leia, you could clearly tell some of these lines were like built upon
there were so many moments in there where
the awkward one was
snap,
where she's like, can you be a little more optimistic? And I was like, that doesn't fit the scene at all.
No. It's like that one was the worst instance, but every time there's an interaction with Leia, it was like, oh man, there's a reason why the only person talking is not Leia.
Well, yeah, it's just like,
here's the stand-in. This is obviously the stand-in right now because there's no dialogue.
But it's just like, man, I understand. I'm just glad that she's in it.
Yes,
but and honestly, it's not like egregious. But man, there's some times where you're like, that line was clearly forced to like make her stuff make sense. But I mean, whatever. What are you gonna do? I love the idea of showing Luke training Leia. I love that.
I love that.
But the CGI faces, even though it's in the dark, look terrible.
I didn't think Luke's like. And you've seen it twice. I've only seen it once.
The Leia one looks terrible.
The Leia one, I would agree. The Luke one, my first thought was, oh, that's actually not bad.
That's actually not bad. And then they do I think it's because they do the pull in on her and they keep it on her for a long time to make sure you know it's Leia.
It's that you realize it's Leia, and so your brain can start to realize, see all the uncanny valley moments.
It just looks off because there's two things. One, there's a little bit of floating in the helmet because she's in the cutout, so you can see the little bit of the floating because it's like pasted on, and since the camera's moving and very slowly, you can see kind of the floating. Also, it just looks a little plasticky. But again, I love the idea.
I love the whole thing where it just like
because it makes total sense.
It makes sense that because even in the Aftermath trilogy, there had been talk of where Luke had been training her a bit on just some general force exercises to help with her pregnancy.
Right.
So it makes sense that she would go through some form of training as a Jedi because she's a Skywalker.
Yeah.
But at the same time, her strength as a character wasn't that, she would be a great Jedi. It was that Leia's a leader.
Yeah.
A Jedi or not.
Right.
That there's just a force of will about her.
Yeah.
And she didn't need to be a Jedi to have that strength.
Yeah, definitely. This is a bigger one. C-3PO should have lost his memories forever.
Yeah. But again, at the same time, I was like, yes, he should lose it forever. But it also makes perfect sense that R2
had backups.
Right. Like I could go in here, because my whole thing is I'm like, how many times is R2 put C-3PO back together.
I know, but like,
and so I'm like, it would make sense that R2 after a while be like, fuck it, I'm gonna just start backing him up because I can't not do this again.
Well, like the thing that's interesting is because like in every movie since A New Hope, C-3PO has been bitching about R2-D2's memory banks.
Yeah.
Right? And so and it's always worked. He's always been wrong about the memory banks.
Yeah.
Right? What if for the first time ever, C-3PO was right and the memory banks don't function, and the tragedy of R2 trying to bring him back and it just won't?
Yeah, like, but they would have totally did here's the thing.
It would have been awesome. And like so much more emotional, because the thing is,
if they had done anything though, if they were like, he's not gonna have his memory back, they would have just not even mentioned maybe R2 as a backup, and they would not have had that moment.
Right. And the thing is, man, I know that scene is supposed to be emotional, and it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to like tug at your heartstrings, but on second viewing, when you know he gets his memory back, it doesn't have any effect. But then even the first time you watch it, fucking Babu Frick is awesome, and all you can think about is him. The entire sequence of him trying to like fuck up C-3PO is so funny.
Oh god, and just like, yeah. I also love afterwards.
Where you go?
I don't remember who I saw say this on Twitter, but they basically were like, 3PO was perfect in this film. And I was like, yeah, 3PO was perfect in this film. Because the moment he loses his memory, he's still like...
Yeah, he's still the same fucking annoying...
But it's even like worse because he doesn't know who these people are.
The funniest one, they have the I am Groot, I am Steve Rogers moment with the I am C-3PO. He goes, Babu Frick. Right, they have that moment in the like right after he gets revived, and then when they're saying someone brings up Babu Frick, and he goes, "Oh, that's my oldest friends." You know, like what, like you know, stuff like that. I also love the line of "You didn't mention me, sir, but I'm fine." Like I love stuff like that, right?
Dude, and the C-3PO was on point,
and like the C-3PO the last couple of episodes has been kind of like whatever.
He's been there.
Right, he's been there, and then this brings you back because Poe gets irritated the same way Han did.
Yeah,
right? And
Poe gets irritated, like, he's like, this is gonna get old real quick. He gets irritated the same way Han would, and it just takes you back to, especially like Empire in particular, where it's just like, oh, this is just right on point. This is what I want from C-3PO.
Right. So this is also one that's like, again, I love this moment, but it's very unclear in what's happening. Okay. It's the when Han Solo does show up to Ben, and then it's very unclear on whether or not that is Leia doing something, or whether it is it's Ben's memories, like it's in his head, or it's a Force apparition that's Leia's doing.
Yeah, it's like there's no answer. I don't think they wanted to give us an answer.
No, I totally understand. It just makes it very unclear of like, is Leia forcing him to see this, or is he seeing this himself? Like it just, because either way it changes the dynamic of that scene.
Right. Because if it becomes Leia forcing him, it becomes kind of corrupted.
Right. It becomes her manipulating the situation, where if it's Ben really kind of thinking back on a moment, then I lean towards it's Ben's memory because
I agree.
Because he has the same conversation that he had.
Yeah, it's
at the end of Force Awakens.
He's trying. It's him imagining how that conversation would go if he succeeded.
Right, and so like that's a different thing, and Leia wasn't a part of that, so like I'm not like that's not a huge concern.
My first thought when I heard the "Hey Kid," I didn't think Han. My first thought was Anakin.
Yeah,
and I was about to be like, "Are they going to do it?" And they didn't do it.
No, dude. I love the Han stuff.
Yeah, like I was just like, because I did not expect.
Did you notice that when so there's a moment where when Rey stabs Kylo, and then realizes like, oh I did a bad thing. I did a Sith thing. And then heals him. Did you notice when she heals him, the Kylo scar goes away?
No, I didn't catch that.
So as soon as she heals him, like the stomach, whatever, it pans up and his scar is gone. Like the Kylo scar is gone. So he's like Ben Solo again without the scar. Very cool.
I did not catch that. That's a very nice touch.
Yeah. And you can also tell too, like this is one of my favorite parts of the whole film is I now want a Ben Solo movie real bad.
I know, it's...
Because the last 10 to 15 minutes of him that we get where he's Ben Solo are just wonderful.
Adam Driver has no dialogue. Outside, you could argue that the dialogue he has with Han is Ben Solo.
Right.
But outside of that, he has like no dialogue at Ben Solo, but we get a really good and strong sense of who Ben Solo would have been as a Jedi.
Dude, so like when he jumps down the thing and just the moment of him going, ouch, when he hits the big ass chain, when he just him going ouch gives him so much character and so much like endearment. Then when he's running through the temple and he does the Han Solo no look blast thing, it's great. When he's with the Knights of Ren and he pulls the lightsaber out, he gives them the shrug.
The shrug, I know. It's just like I'm sorry, guys, but you're about to die.
When he's going through when he's fighting them and he just finishes doing this huge flurry and does a block and he takes a second to go. Yeah, and then keeps going, right? It's great. Like all of these little things that show you kind of what he is as a person. It's so wonderful. I just wish we got more of that.
Yeah.
But also the scene of him running up to Rey and then both of them igniting the blue sabers at once, and it's Anakin's and Leia's sabers.
Yeah.
It's so good.
No, it's... Yeah, like Ben Solo was just a treat.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to put it. What else have you got on your list of notes?
That's kind of about it. I have like funny things like, dude, the Emperor really has to stop with the lightning shit because it fucks him over every time.
Yeah. Like, this was actually one of my things is when I was talking about like overindulgence in the CG. It was like that. Like, you're on a Malachor-esque temple.
Yeah.
Why can't he just, like, it doesn't have to be Palpatine, like, being the actual conduit.
Right.
He can have something else do it and us know that it's being caused by him. Yeah. It doesn't need to be his actual hands doing the lightning.
Right.
It just is... It's starting to... Admittedly, there's a lot of cheese in Star Wars already, and this is wholly a part of that cheesy experience.
Hell yeah.
But there's a part of me that was just like, yeah, you could have done some other thing, but I'll allow it.
Yeah. But, like, the way he gets burned and almost dies in the first place was fucking Mace Windu flipping the lightning on him. Then he actually dies in Return of the Jedi because he's too distracted doing lightning, so Vader picks him up and throws him off the thing. Then in this one, he lightnings Rey, and Rey just flips it back like Mace Windu. Like, dude, I guarantee you, when she's channeling the 1,000 generations of Jedi, Mace Windu's like, I knew it! Mace Windu's like, yo, fam, he's gonna do this thing.
Just hold on and
flip it over. And it works every time. And she's like, got it. And then, like, Mace Windu calls it. Like, I guarantee you, Mace Windu's like, yo, let me tell you what to do. He's gonna do this thing.
Oh, God, that's perfect.
I guarantee you, because that's the same exact thing he did. Like, that's like a... And I guess it's good for like continuity and whatever. Like, you know, you keep him
because that was the thing that
it's like his thing.
Because it does answer one question about Return of the or Revenge of the Sith is that some people have been going, was Mace Windu actually winning, or was Palpatine trying to lure Anakin as a means of
he was winning
the flip? And it's like no, Windu was winning, and the only reason he lost was Anakin, and now it's just clear.
Yeah.
Anakin totally flipped in that moment.
Speaking of fan service, though, it's to me one of the cheesiest moments of the whole movie, and it like made me tear up. It's when Poe's ready to give up, and Lando shows up with all of the ships, and then they're shooting through the ships. You see Wedge.
I know.
You see Wedge, and then Zori comes out of nowhere with Babu Frick, and you're like, how the fuck did they get out? And don't worry about it. They're here.
Don't worry about it. They're here. No, like actually, that was another. To go back to, like, gripes.
Yeah.
Like, I know everyone likes to say Canto Bight is a sequence that doesn't matter, even though I think the fact there needed to be an arc for both Finn and Poe, and that filled part of that arc. I wasn't really sure that entire sequence needed to really happen.
Canto Bight?
Not Canto Bight, the planet this time. I don't remember the name.
Madrine or whatever. Yeah. I actually love that part.
I thought it was a good sequence, but it was just more of a... I think another, just in general, I guess, problem is I felt like the film was just go, 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 and it could have taken the time to breathe a little bit more, and right. I wonder, it's like, you could have either trimmed down there, or you could have made it a little bit longer, and I think it would have helped balance out the film.
To me, this scene helps
slow things down.
Well, not slow things down, but it incites Poe's final push, right? So it's the thing of, because he brings up the fact that like at the Battle of Crate they called for help and no one came, right? So like he, in his head, he's thinking like they're in this fight alone, and so Zori has to bring up the idea that like, look, that's how they win, and that's how they whatever. So it's setting up that final battle, because that's like the only reason they do that is because Poe believes that Lando's going to come with a fuck ton of ships, right?
That's true.
So like. And he wouldn't have believed that without having that conversation, or without having that reassurance that like, hey, you know what, you're right. Like, and especially showing them on a world that is probably the most oppressive First Order Imperial kind of presence we've seen in a long time.
Yes.
Like, we've never seen that much oppression in a planet before. At least, like, it was kind of brutal the way like it was depicted. And so for someone that is on that planet, that lives there, to have that level of optimism and giving that to Poe, to me was like really important to show like, look, if they can have hope, I can have hope, and I can figure this out, right?
Fair point.
So like, to me, that was like a really important segment. Plus you got fucking Babu Frick, which is awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
That character,
Babu Frick is
Babu Frick is a treasure.
He is a treasure.
Also, I love the moment at the end with Zori where he's like, do you want to make out? And she's like, no.
Which is weird, because I remember we talked about this briefly. I don't know if we did it on an episode or if it was just mentioned. The thing I found weird is Resistance Reborn, their tie-in novel that leads up to it, heavily implies that there's something going on between Finn and Poe. And it's just weird to have him be like, hey, you want to make out? And it's just like... It's kind of hinted that he's in a relationship with Finn on some level, right. And they're just like not quite ready to acknowledge it, right? But there's hints of it too, like hold my hand. It's totally like, honey, come on, you just got to do it.
that was great too. I mean, like this movie did such a great job of like payoff moments, and like did such a great job of like saying the characters. The one thing, so. This could have been better explained. I had someone explain this to me, and I didn't really think about it before. And if it's true, it's awesome, but it's not well explained. Is so when Finn is sinking down into the sand pit or whatever, and he says, "Rey, I have to tell you," what do you think he's trying to tell her?
That it's either one of two things.
Yes. He's
either Poe and I are a thing.
Okay.
Or I'm force sensitive.
Yes. Okay, so the force sensitive thing really makes a ton of sense, and it if you set that up better, it makes the whole rest of the movie make a ton more sense. Because that's like a main point of him. Like a lot of his dialogue and a lot of his moments are like him being force sensitive.
Yeah.
And him sort of being more in tune with what's going on. It
also implies, because I like the implication that the reason why his conditioning never took.
Right.
And the reason why all these other people that they meet who were former First Order Stormtroopers didn't take was the fact that they were force sensitive.
Right.
That so, the Force itself was fighting back.
Right. And so I love that idea, and I love it. It's just not well established.
I picked up on it, but I can see how it could get easily lost.
Yeah. So like on my first viewing, I was just like, oh, that's weird, whatever. And so when they do the thing of like, I'll tell you when we're alone, and Poe goes, oh, so I'm not here? It's because Poe doesn't believe in any of this stuff, right? Poe's kind of like he's like New Hope Han Solo, right? Like, whatever. And so to me, it's a thing of, you gotta set, like, they have to have a moment where they sit down and like he explains it, or like he has like a forced moment, and he has a couple of them, like where he feels Rey pass away in the temple. But again, it's not well established of like that he was going to bring up that at the
that was the thing
like, he wanted to bring up and talk about. It sort of seems out of left field. You're like, why are you bringing up that up now? Like, is that really important right now? You're about, like, if you think you're about to die, is that something to bring up right now? Like, yeah,
it seemed like that. It's an odd thing to bring up right then specifically, but
no, I totally get that it's something that to have a conversation about. I just thought, like, in the context that they're doing it just feels really weird. Yeah. So I don't know.
Like, before we die, I have to tell you I love you, right? Which is what a lot of people I think took it as.
Yeah. So I think like that's the issue where you set this thing up that doesn't have like, well, that didn't pay off. Well, it's like kind of did, but you're taking the wrong interpretation.
Yeah, you were thinking that it was something to do with their relationship when it actually had something to do with just his existence.
Right. So I mean, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I think I'm getting to the end of it. Oh, the Hux stuff I thought was dumb.
But it
makes a ton of sense.
It makes a ton of sense.
But my thing is, it comes kind of out of left field in terms of like why now, and then plus, I know they have Poe and Finn make fun of it a little bit, but like that's no excuse for this being kind of weird.
Yeah, it was kind of an odd thing, but I think it's explained. I think the explanation Hux gives does help explain why he would do something that is kind of in some ways completely out of character for Hux.
And insane.
It's because I don't care if you win. I just want Kylo. He wants the First Order for himself. And so for him, the end goal isn't the Resistance must win, but as long as the Resistance is going and Rey is still going, he has the ability to replace Kylo Ren as supreme leader. It's their sibling rivalry.
Yeah, it's just like a dick measuring contest. Yeah, but like it just felt a little off. I also felt like the Chewbacca rescue arc was a little flat. I was like, whatever. He's not going to stay there.
Yeah.
I don't know why you needed him to get kidnapped. That's fine. I think they needed an excuse to get onto the.
They needed an excuse to be on there. Yeah.
But like, okay, you could have figured out something else. But
yeah, it felt like they wanted to have a moment that the audience was like, because I remember the moment they did it, I'm like,
oh, where they killed Chewbacca,
where they killed Chewie, and I'm just like, oh, you know, I was like, I was upset.
I was in the theater and like, because they really glance over it, they really like, she shocks it, it blows up, she has this emotional moment, and they're like, we gotta go.
Like, we need to go now.
Yeah, and they kind of like rush past. I was like, they're just gonna rush past this?
I'm like, you don't kill Chewie.
Or like, even if you kill him, you have to like treat it with the reverence it deserves, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then so when they reveal that it's not, I was like, oh, okay, well,
okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, like it was sort of a are you fucking kidding me?
But speaking of Chewie, his reaction to Leia's death.
Oh, my favorite,
fucking perfect.
So my favorite part,
because everyone he knows
is now dead.
Is dead.
Yeah. So he has Lando still.
He is still Lando.
But
does Lando count?
Yes, Lando's fucking awesome. The I have an issue with Lando too.
Well, before we go on, on the Lando count, I think for Chewie there is a difference between a friend and family, and I think Luke, Leia, and Han were family, right. And Lando was a friend. Continue. So his family has died.
Right. I completely agree with that. The best moment of that is when they start to pan out and Poe goes to give Chewie a hug and he fucking slaps it away like, get off of me, like let me just.
I need to scream right now. Go away.
Yeah, it's awesome. So the issue I have with Lando is at the end of the movie when Jonna comes up to him and they had that conversation.
And everyone's like, what? The fact that no one is really sure is like, is he hitting on
I was like, is he either A, wants to help her and the other stormtrooper children find out where they're from, or he's Lando, yeah, or he's Lando.
Well, hello.
Or he's Lando and he wants to bang. Like these are like the two options.
These are both totally like realistic options for Lando.
Oh, also, I would just like a more of a issue with the entire trilogy. I wish they explored the Chewbacca-Ben relationship a little more.
Yeah,
because in theory, he should have just as much like in raising this kid as anyone else should have.
I think I get the sense that he wasn't around as much for Ben as you would have expected, and my reason for that is entirely from like some of the expanded stuff they put out. Because in the Last Shot novel, which is the one that they did as a tie-in for Solo, but it takes place in two different timelines. It takes place in like 10 years like basically right after Solo, the movie, and then it also has another time that takes place after the Awakening, like about 5 years after the Awakening trilogy.
Right.
And Chewie lives on Kashyyyk with his family. So he wasn't really around.
Right.
As much. Like they have to literally go and get him to help out.
Right.
In that section of the novel. So I have a feeling what it is at some point after Ben fell to the dark side, I think that's when Han kind of left.
Right.
Like more concretely left.
Right.
And I think he went and grabbed Chewie and Chewie went with him because it's Han.
Right.
Because also at that time, Lumpy would have been probably old enough that he wouldn't have felt like he needed to be at home anymore.
Right.
So I personally, that's my personal theory, is that he didn't have as strong of a connection with Ben Solo other than, hey, it's the son of my friend.
No,
because also
it totally makes sense. I'm just like
Force Awakens, he just flats out shoot him without a thought.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like to me, I would have loved to see like just a moment of like hesitation of like,
yeah,
like I know he just killed Han, but like, but
he's just like, nope, shoot,
yeah. So. You know.
We need to actually take a quick second. There's going to be a cut in here because we need to take a pause. So the only thing I would note, Mom, is you kind of can't sit on this far end.
Oh, that's...
So. Otherwise, you're good.
Otherwise, you're fine. We're going to keep going. Talking spoilers.
I mean, like that was sort of my kind of bigger issues. But otherwise, I loved it. Like, it does a lot.
Yeah, I felt like... Because one of the things... Like, I think now that we have 3 films for the sequel trilogy, I feel safe in stating that The Last Jedi is the best of the 3.
Right. So,
I think the thing is The Last Jedi is a kind of film, and I remember, I don't know if I've talked about it or given this story on the podcast before, but like when I first saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, like I hated it.
Right.
But I couldn't stop thinking about that film for 2 weeks. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, this is why everyone thinks this film is great. Right. It's because you kind of are constantly thinking about what it's trying to tell you.
It's like Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like it has you questioning a lot of aspects of humanity with 2001. And I'm like, oh, The Last Jedi is kind of doing the same thing where you're questioning a lot of things that you would have expected out of Star Wars. And that's not a bad thing, but it also was a thing that I don't think anyone was... prepped for.
Well, asking for. Right? So, like, this is... And someone brought this up the other day, and I thought about it, and I was like, man, it's actually really true. I really want to see now... We're never going to, but I would love to have seen what a full Abrams trilogy would have looked like and a full Rian Johnson trilogy would have looked like in the same...
Yeah, I think...
Because I think the problem is that you go from Force Awakens, which is a nostalgia-filled, like... hype trip, and then you go to Last Jedi, which is sort of like this introspective, very like
very cerebral,
right? Very different, very like provocative film, and then you go right back to like this nostalgia
fest that's fast paced,
right? And like
Abrams all over the place,
right? And so it's just a weird. It makes it
kind of
off.
Inconsistent,
right?
But at the same time, I remember... Because I feel like Force Awakens and Last Jedi work in tandem. I'm not sure that this film... I think this film is one of the reasons why it doesn't...
Oh, I would think it's... I think the other way. I think the thing that this film does really well is it builds upon Last Jedi. It builds upon... Because even the stuff where it's like the light speed skipping in the beginning... Why do they have to light speed skip? Because they can't just light speed away anymore because they can track now.
Because they can track.
So that's different. I think this film makes better usage of the Force link between Kylo and Rey than Last Jedi does. Even though it was a huge part of Last Jedi, I think it does it better here. and it builds upon it. Right? It doesn't like just put it away.
It doesn't
like
just put it away. It builds upon it.
It really is a major part of this movie, and it's probably one of my favorite parts and uses of this film. Right?
Yeah.
Then it does the stuff where the whole thing with Luke coming back and like they turn this old hermit into the nostalgia, like the Yoda,
the
that
Jedi
you want, right?
that we were expecting.
Dude, when he lifts the X-wing, it's the same music that plays.
It's the Yoda's thing. Yeah,
it's the same theme that plays during Empire, and he has the same face and hand placement that Yoda does in Empire. Right, same thing. So again, it to me builds upon the Last Jedi more than
Last Jedi built on Force Awakens.
Right. And then it also answers a lot of questions. Like, obviously, okay, there's a bunch of, like, F the Last Jedi moments here, right? Like, the we need to pull off Holdo maneuvers.
It's just like...
is a really bad, like, no, we're never doing that ever again. The, also, okay, there's the other problem, too. I don't think Chewie needed the medal at the end. That was
that
weird.
was kind of odd. Just like...
So, again,
I wonder if it's just Han's medal.
No, because she's holding it. That's the medal Leia died with. She's holding it in her hand.
Are you sure it's not Han's?
Yeah, because so it might be Han's, but Leia has it in her hand. Leia goes to lay down, and she has the medal, and then when her hand flips, right, when she dies and her hand flips, she's holding the medal.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's Han's. That would be my guess.
Possibly?
That would ultimately be my guess.
But yeah, she just like dies with it, and you're like, was she gonna give it to Chewie when he got back? Like, what was the point of this? Also, the stuff with R2, the whole way that Leia's death is shot is really good too.
Yeah.
Because they shoot it from a down angle where you can see her body and R2, and R2 does the shake thing as she dies, which is really cool. Also, Dio was weird too.
Yeah, Dio didn't need to happen.
I think he's super cute and he's adorable.
Yeah,
and they pushed him really, really, really hard.
I know, and then he's just kind of
there,
and it's just like, oh.
Because I expected him to be a big deal. When he showed up, I was like, oh, he's gonna have the Wayfinder. He's gonna know where it is.
He's gonna know where it is, and it's like, nope.
He doesn't do anything.
He's just here to sell you toys.
Kinda, yeah.
Which, by the way, I'd still probably buy BB-8 instead, but Babu Freak.
Yeah, Babu Freak.
We'll buy Babu toys.
Zori has a really cool costume design. I think it's a waste of Kerry Russell, but whatever.
Yeah, it was, but
she would have made a better stormtrooper leader, like stormtrooper defector leader.
Maybe,
but whatever. She's sassy. She's fine.
It's. Yeah, no, it was. I think ultimately, like, what we've been kind of saying is, like, the entire time I watched the movie, it wasn't like, oh god, this is bad. It was more like, okay, I have quibbles, I have problems, I have issues, but I have that with every Star Wars film.
Yeah, again, they're all small things. Again, we talked about the only major issue I had, and, like, again, it depends on your interpretation of the film, but, like, in most people, I would assume, wouldn't have an issue with it. The other thing, too, like, so she makes her lightsaber. That's great. That's cool. Like that. I like that she uses her staff to do it.
She uses her staff.
But
they're totally setting up. I honestly think that the dyad thing, which was another thing that needed to be explained a little bit better.
Sure.
I think they're setting up Revan and Bastila.
Could be.
Because she has a yellow saber.
So this is the other thing too. The thing with the yellow saber, and so I love the fact that she uses her staff to do it, but it makes more sense for her to have a dual-bladed lightsaber than anyone else that we've seen in, like, the main franchise.
Yeah,
because she fights with that staff is such a huge part of her character in terms of her iconography.
Is it not a dual?
No, it's just a handle.
I didn't feel like we saw enough of it to make that determination.
We saw the whole thing. It's a handle.
Okay.
So she flicks the. I like the way it turns on too. It's not a button. It's a turning dial that she flicks sideways and it turns on. But she holds it up and you can see the end of it, and it's just it's like the cut off bit of her, because the end of her staff looks like a Darth Maul saber.
Yeah.
But she just cuts it off at the end, like, so there's the wrapping, like the cloth wrapping, and then the end part, and then it just goes up. But so for her, it makes most sense for her to have a dual blade lightsaber more than anyone else, because that staff is so iconic to her character.
If they ever do anything more with Rey again, I think it's going to be double bladed. I don't think they're going to stick with a single blade.
It doesn't make sense for her to have a double blade,
like, especially with the way she fights. You know, you want her with a double bladed weapon.
Maybe she doesn't know it's a thing, but like,
I don't know.
Because she's never seen one, right? She doesn't know.
No. Maybe. Well, she did in the Force Vision.
Also, she has the books.
Yeah. No, I'm getting, like, I saw a lot of people also took it because that's the same color the Temple Guard.
Yeah.
So, like, she's the guardian and steward of the Force now.
My friend was complaining that why would where'd she find the yellow kyber crystal? I was like, the same place Luke found the green one.
Like, guys,
it doesn't matter.
Haven't we established, like, we've established this by now, that the kyber crystals have no color. The color is because of the Force connection with the person who it's connected
Galaxy's
to.
Edge tells me that I can buy different colors.
Well, yeah, Galaxy's Edge says you can buy it, but that's because they need to have some mechanism to have separate colors. That's like just the practical reality of the merchandise, not the reality of the universe.
So speaking of which, I don't know what they're trying to do, but there is a. So kyber crystals, obviously, for Galaxy's Edge, use RFID chips to change the color in the saber.
Oh, I've been actually having an issue with mine, where for some odd reason it keeps triggering the. You know how it is when it starts making that noise when you're at Galaxy's Edge, or if you have the blade disconnected.
Yeah, it goes
not the like you turn it on and it makes that
like lightning noise that won't go on.
No, it's
like a staticky noise.
Not the staticky noise. It's the
yeah.
Mine does that, right? It will just randomly do that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not sitting correctly.
Well, I wonder if it's not sitting correctly, or if my saber is now calling to me. I'm like, Maz Kanata's about to come out and be like, Logan, it's calling to you.
So weirdly enough, someone's been messing with the RFID tags.
Yeah.
And so there are two colors that currently do not have crystals.
I'm guessing yellow's one.
No, because they have a yellow crystal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the colors they have at Galaxy's Edge, they have yellow, blue, red,
purple,
green.
I think
white.
Black.
White. Well, there's a black crystal. There's not a black color.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't make it black. But they have white.
Yeah.
White is there.
Oh, so you could do like an Ahsoka blade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how Ahsoka blades work. But there is a color for teal and a color for orange.
Oh, boy.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that.
Orange.
But those are programmed into every saber.
Okay, good to know. How do we turn on the teal one? I want to know how that looks.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen someone use the RFID chip and make it teal. So it's teal and orange are the two.
Well, we knew that there was some form of mechanism that enabled you to change the color,
and
that it was tied somehow to the crystal, but it wasn't necessarily.
They also did add at Galaxy's Edge 2. They added the Rey's.
I've heard Rey's saber.
Rey's Graflex. No, the Graflex. So the one that has the leather wrapping on the center, and it's because she prepared it from Reagan. And then the base Ben Solo saber. So it's Kylo Ren's without the thing on the side, and it's not black.
And then I know they also are apparently going to do, or they've already announced pricing for Rey's saber.
And Leia's, from what I've seen, too. So it makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Like, people will buy it.
Yeah. Even though you see Leia's saber for, 10 minutes.
But I'm surprised that there aren't already breakdowns on that Facebook group.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
The moment when people can get good screen grabs, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of just overall general. It's like I have quibbles, I have issues. There are things where I'm like, I don't necessarily like this, but I get it. I'll accept it. I'll move on. but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people complain that the Knights of Ren didn't do anything, and they didn't explain the Knights of Ren well. I was like, all you need to know is they're bad guys, and Kylo Ren hung out with them. Cool.
Yeah,
whatever.
We're fine. We don't need more.
Yeah. Oh, the shot of them on the desert planet where it spins, the 360 spin camera shot, is real bad.
Yeah.
And it's way too long.
Here's the thing. It's way too long. It's bad. It's like the worst shot in Force Awakens, that shot at the very end where they do the helicopter shot. The worst shot in this movie, hey, let's do a helicopter shot. It's like, JJ, stop.
It's real bad. And the thing is, it's like, why?
I don't know.
I don't know why.
I think J.J. Abrams must just really love that type of shot, and it's just like, no one went down and went,
it looks terrible, and it's so out of place because it's so long.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree. I think I was like I don't need more Knights of Ren stuff. Kind of done. But yeah, like they were cool. I like the Stormtrooper line that they had where they walk by them. They're like, Knights of Ren. Cool.
I also love like when she does like the mind trick, how one of the stormtroopers is basically repeating it and the other one is just super like mellow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're good.
Dude, the favorite part is like, we're supposed to be here. Oh, you're supposed to be here. You're relieved that we're here. Oh, thank God you're here. Great.
No, it's yeah, I wouldn't be Star Wars if we didn't have quibbles.
Yeah. I think the dialogue here was the best of the three so far of this trilogy. The banter back and forth between the ship crew was great.
Yeah, like I think the banter was on point. There are a couple moments where I feel like the sequel trilogy.
Oh,
like there were moments where I felt like some of the dialogue could be tightened up throughout the sequel trilogy, but a lot of it is I felt like they were embracing I think it was kind of a sequel influence,
right?
Or not sequel, or like a prequel influence, where they realized what they had done with a lot of the cartoons, and that is that there's a younger audience who also comes to see Star Wars who needs a little bit more of an explanation, right. Or the theory is they need a little bit more of an explanation of what exactly is going on.
Right.
And you see that specifically in the cartoons, but I feel like the sequel trilogy has been integrating that type of language in a bit more.
Right.
I honestly think it's just to make it easier to understand what's going on without having to necessarily have like an immediate understanding that, say, you or I would have.
Right.
That comes from either knowledge of Star Wars or just knowledge of film.
Right. Oh, so I saw this too. This was something that was coming up on Twitter. Apparently there was a clipping error in the outfit when they CG'd Carrie Fisher when Leia hugs Rey. The fake collar cuts into her face.
Oh. I'm sure ILM is very happy that someone caught that.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I didn't see too much of it. I thought it was weird that they used the exact same hug that they used at the end of Force Awakens.
I know. I'm like, the moment that happened, I'm like, oh, it's that hug.
Yeah.
You had only one hug, didn't you?
I mean, I don't know how many takes they had of that, but I mean, I assume they shot it the same way every time.
Probably. So you're limited by what you've already previously shot, which is basically, again, we brought this up. This is like the entire problem with all the Leia moments is the fact that they had to use that old footage. So there's a lot of times where it just feels kind of off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to forgive and give them like a little bit lax because I'm just glad she's in it. So whatever.
Yeah, it was the curse of someone opening the door and not knocking.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you guys were recording. Hi.
Oh, good. How's it going?
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
And then she snorts.
Yeah, you see, like, I try.
It's fine.
It's not like we're going to have a barking dog in the background at points of this episode.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It's a holiday special.
It's the holiday special. We have the same level of production value as the Star Wars holiday special.
Hey.
No. Stir and stir. Stir and whip. Happy Life Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to seeing it again. So
Yeah, I'd definitely go see it again.
I'm sure I'll have more thoughts, and who knows?
Well,
who knows what I'll be thinking in like 6 months? But for now, I'm happy. I'm happy with what they did. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And also, oh god, I can't wait till we talk more about The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
that'll wait for
so we see at the end of it.
Until we see the end of it. So that will be something that will come when we come back in January.
As a father, that episode gave me anxiety. So like whatever, we're good.
Yeah, but I think that does it. You don't have anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm through all the notes here.
Yeah, that covers basically everything I had. So yeah, do all the things, people. Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, do all that fun stuff.
Do all the fun stuff. Click the bell because YouTube has one. I don't know why you'd want to, but sure, click it.
It actually makes you get alerts.
I know that's why, but we already have subscribed. Okay, we'll get on a YouTube comment.
It won't show up on your feed if you don't hit the bell.
I know, it's silly YouTube and all its things. Other than that, if you have any comments, feel free to shoot us an email because we didn't do this one live. Other than that, everyone have a good one. We'll see you in January.